My eyelids fluttered open to unfamiliar silk sheets that whispered against my skin. This wasn't my cramped studio apartment, with its perpetually leaking ceiling and the incessant hum of the broken refrigerator. The air smelled of expensive cologne, sandalwood, and something darker, more dangerous. Nothing like the lavender air freshener I'd sprayed around my apartment before heading out last night. Last night, my 25th birthday. I sat up too quickly, and my head pounded in protest. The room spun briefly before settling into focus. A massive bedroom with floor-to-ceiling windows showcasing the Chicago skyline from what had to be at least 30 floors up. Morning light filtered through partially drawn curtains, illuminating a space larger than my entire apartment. Dark mahogany furniture, a crystal chandelier overhead, and artwork that looked like it belonged in a museum rather than a bedroom. "Happy birthday to me," I whispered, my voice cracking as fragments of memories from the previous night crashed into my consciousness. My friends had insisted on taking me out to celebrate. "Come on, Eliza, you only turned 25 once," Maya had said, already selecting an outfit from my pitiful wardrobe. A black dress I'd bought secondhand but had never had the courage to wear. It hugged my curves in a way that made me feel both powerful and exposed. We'd ended up at Obsidian, the exclusive nightclub everyone whispered about but few actually entered. Maya's new boyfriend knew someone who knew someone, and suddenly we were past the velvet rope, enveloped in a world of beautiful people, pulsing music, and drinks that cost more than my daily wage at the coffee shop. I remembered the cocktails, sweet, deceptively strong concoctions that tasted of berries and freedom. I remembered dancing, the liberating feeling of letting go, of being someone else for one night, then him. I clutched the sheets tighter around me, suddenly aware of my nakedness beneath. A quick glance confirmed my fears. My dress and underwear were nowhere to be seen. The bathroom door opened, releasing a cloud of steam, and there he stood. He wasn't what you'd expect from the whispered stories about Chicago's most dangerous man. No scars, no menacing scowl. Instead, Dante Russo moved with the fluid grace of a predator secure in its hunting grounds. Tall, with broad shoulders tapering to narrow hips, wrapped in nothing but a towel, water droplets clung to his olive skin, trailing down the defined muscles of his chest and abdomen. His dark hair was slicked back from his shower, emphasizing the sharp angles of his face. High cheekbones, a straight nose, and lips that could either smile or snarl with equal effect. But it was his eyes that paralyzed me. Deep amber, almost golden in the morning light, assessing me with the cold calculation of a man accustomed to weighing lives in his hands. "You're awake," he said, his voice deep and smooth like aged whiskey. I clutched the sheet tighter, painfully aware of the power imbalance. Him, standing confidently half-naked. Me, shrinking into borrowed bedding in a stranger's room. "Where am I?" I managed to ask, hating the tremor in my voice. "What happened last night?" He moved to a dresser, pulled out clothing with deliberate slowness. "You're in my penthouse. As for what happened," the ghost of a smile played on his lips. "You had too much to drink. Your friends left you. I brought you here." My stomach nodded. "Did we?" "No." The word was clipped, definitive. "I don't take unconscious women to my bed for that, Eliza." A chill ran down my spine. "How do you know my name?" He turned to face me fully now, one eyebrow raised. "I make it my business to know everything about anyone who enters my club." He paused, eyes narrowing slightly. "Especially when they're as interesting as you." The way he said, "interesting," made me feel like a butterfly pinned to a board, something to be examined and catalogued. "My friends," I started, reaching instinctively for my phone before realizing I had no idea where it was. "Have been informed you're safe." He gestured toward a chair where I spotted my purse. "Your phone is there. 17 missed calls. They seem concerned." I moved to get up, then remembered my nakedness. "My clothes?" "Being cleaned." "You were unwell last night." His expression didn't change, but something in his eyes darkened. "There's a robe in the bathroom. Use it." It wasn't a suggestion. When I emerged from the bathroom minutes later, wrapped in a silk robe that felt like sin against my skin, he was fully dressed in a charcoal suit that probably cost more than 6 months of my rent. He stood by the window, phone in hand, speaking in rapid Italian to someone on the other end. His voice was low, threatening in its quietness. I tried to slip past him to reach my purse, but his hand shot out, fingers wrapping around my wrist. He finished his call, slipped the phone into his pocket, and turned those predator eyes on me. "Where do you think you're going?" he asked, his thumb absently tracing circles on the pulse point of my wrist. "Home," I said, trying to inject confidence I didn't feel into my voice. "Thank you for whatever help you provided last night, but I need to go." His lips curved into something that wasn't quite a smile. "No." The single word hung in the air between us. "Excuse me?" "You're not going anywhere, Eliza." He released my wrist only to brush a strand of hair behind my ear, his touch sending unwelcome electricity down my spine. "Not after what happened." "What are you talking about?" Fear crept into my voice now. "What happened?" He guided me to sit on the edge of the bed, then handed me a tablet. On the screen was security footage from last night. Me, clearly intoxicated, being approached by 2 men at the bar. I watched in horror as they slipped something into my drink when I turned away. Then the footage cut to another angle, Dante appearing beside me, his face a mask of cold fury as he spoke to the men. The terror on their faces was palpable even through the grainy footage. "They work for the Costello family," he said, taking the tablet back. "My rivals. They recognized you were with Maya Santos, whose brother works for me." His jaw tightened. "You were to be collateral damage in their message to me." The room seemed to shrink around me. "So what, you rescued me?" I forced out a laugh that sounded hollow even to my own ears. My knight in blood-soaked armor, his expression darkened. "This isn't a joke, Eliza. They know who you are now. They'll try again." I stood, anger temporarily overriding fear. "This has nothing to do with me. I don't even know you. I was just out celebrating my birthday, and now you're telling me I'm caught in some mafia war?" "Sit down." His voice was soft, but carried such authority that I found myself obeying before I could think. "You have 2 choices. You can walk out that door, go back to your apartment on Westfield Avenue, to your job at Lakeside Coffee, to your evening classes at the community college. And within 24 hours, you'll either be dead or wishing you were." My blood ran cold. How did he know so much about me? "Or," he continued, sitting beside me, close enough that I could feel the heat radiating from his body. "You stay here under my protection, until I've dealt with the Costellos." "And how long will that take?" I whispered. His fingers found my chin, tilting my face up to meet his gaze. "As long as necessary." I pulled away, standing again, pacing the room. "This is insane. I can't just disappear from my life. I have a job, classes, rent due next week. All taken care of." His casual tone made it clear how easy it was for him to rearrange my entire existence. "Your employer has been informed you've had a family emergency. Your professors will receive the same message. Your rent is paid for the next 3 months." "You can't do this," I said, but even to my own ears it sounded weak, defeated. He rose in one fluid movement, closing the distance between us. His hands came to rest on my shoulders, warm and heavy. "It's already done, Eliza." Then his phone rang, breaking the tension. He checked the screen, his expression hardening. "I have business to attend to. Breakfast is ready in the dining room. Marco will show you." He moved toward the door, then paused. "Don't try to leave. My men have instructions." And just like that, I was alone in the luxurious prison of Dante Russo's penthouse. I moved to the window, pressing my palm against the cool glass, gazing down at a city that suddenly felt alien. Somewhere down there was my simple life, now seemingly as distant as another planet. A knock at the door startled me. A tall man with a scar running down one cheek stood there, his face expressionless. "Mr. Russo asked me to escort you to breakfast, miss." As I followed Marco down a hallway lined with artwork worth more than everything I'd ever owned, the reality of my situation crashed down on me. Yesterday, I'd been Eliza Parker, 24, barista by day, student by night, invisible to the world. Today, I was 25, caught in the web of Chicago's most feared man. Visible in all the wrong ways. The worst part wasn't the fear or the confusion, or even the loss of control. It was the tiny, traitorous part of me that remembered how it felt when Dante touched me. The inexplicable safety I felt, despite knowing exactly how dangerous he was. "From now on, you stay," he'd said. And as I entered the dining room to find a breakfast spread fit for royalty and a view of the city that stole my breath, I wondered if I'd ever want to leave. The dining room, like everything else in Dante's penthouse, exuded wealth and power. A table that could seat 12 held only a single place setting at the head, with another set adjacent to it. The message was clear. I was to sit at his right hand. Marco pulled out my chair with unexpected gentleness. "Mr. Russo will join you shortly. Please, eat." I stared at the spread before me, fresh fruits arranged like jewels, pastries still steaming, 3 different types of juice in crystal decanters. My usual breakfast was coffee, and whatever pastry hadn't sold the previous day at the cafe. "How long have you worked for him?" I asked Marco, desperate for any information about the man who had effectively kidnapped me. Marco's face remained impassive. 10 years, miss." "And is he always like this? Taking strange women home and keeping them prisoner?" Something flickered in Marco's eyes. Amusement, perhaps, or surprise. "Mr. Russo has never brought anyone to the penthouse before. You're the first." He left before I could ask anything else, leaving me alone with that unsettling information. Why me? What made me different? I was nobody. A scholarship girl from the wrong side of town, working 2 jobs to pay for community college. There was nothing special about me. I picked at a croissant, too anxious to feel hunger. Through floor-to-ceiling windows, Chicago sprawled before me, the morning sun glinting off glass skyscrapers. Somewhere down there, Maya was probably frantic, despite whatever message Dante had sent her. I thought of my tiny apartment, my textbooks spread across my second-hand desk, my elderly neighbor Mrs. Wilson, who I helped with groceries every Sunday. My life wasn't much, but it was mine. The sound of voices in the hallway made me straighten. Dante entered, still on the phone, his expression dark. Behind him followed a woman who made me feel instantly self-conscious in my borrowed robe. She was stunning. Tall, model-thin, with sleek black hair and cheekbones that could cut glass. Her red-bottomed heels clicked against the marble floor as she approached. "Adriana Vega," she introduced herself, extending a manicured hand. "Mr. Russo's attorney." I shook her hand awkwardly, painfully aware of my unbrushed hair and makeup-free face. "Eliza Parker." "Yes, I know." Her smile didn't reach her eyes. "I've spent the morning arranging your sabbatical." Dante ended his call and joined us at the table. "Everything is arranged?" he asked Adriana. "Yes. Ms. Parker's employer believes she's taking family leave for a sick relative out of state. Her professors have been informed similarly. Her apartment will remain as is, with security monitoring." She slid a folder across the table. "The NDA, as requested." "NDA?" I echoed. Dante nodded. "Non-disclosure agreement. Everything you see, hear, or experience while under my protection remains confidential." "Or what? You'll kill me?" I meant it as sarcasm, but the silence that followed was answer enough. Adriana cleared her throat. "Mr. Russo has also taken the liberty of providing you with necessities." She gestured to Marco, who wheeled in a rack of clothing with price tags still attached, designer labels I'd only seen in magazines. "I selected based on your measurements." "My measurements? How did you—" I stopped, not wanting to know the answer. Dante watched me with those predator eyes. "Is there anything else you require, Eliza?" The casual use of my first name, as if we were friends or lovers, sent a shiver through me. "My freedom?" His lips curved slightly. "Not negotiable. Not yet." Adriana excused herself, leaving us alone. Dante filled his plate, then mine, ignoring my protest that I wasn't hungry. "You need your strength," he said simply. "Eat." I took a bite of melon to appease him, the sweetness exploding on my tongue despite my anxiety. "So this is my life now? Living in your penthouse, wearing clothes you bought, waiting for you to deal with your enemies?" "For now." He ate methodically, his movements precise. Everything about him spoke of control. "There are worse fates, like being drugged by the Costellos." I couldn't keep the bitterness from my voice. What would they have done to me? His fork paused halfway to his mouth. "You don't want to know. Actually, I do. If my life is being upended, I deserve to understand why. Dante set down his utensils, his gaze pinning me in place. They would have taken you somewhere quiet, recorded everything they did to you, and sent me the video as a message that nothing I care about is safe. The clinical way he described my potential torture made my blood run cold. But you don't care about me. You don't even know me. They don't know that. He took a sip of coffee. All they saw was me intervening when they drugged you. That was enough. So I'm collateral damage in your war. I pushed my plate away. Appetite gone. Great. No, the word was sharp. You're under my protection now. No one will touch you. Except you? The words slipped out before I could stop them. Something dangerous flashed in his eyes. I told you. Nothing happened last night. And I'm supposed to just believe that? I woke up naked in your bed. He leaned forward. You got sick all over yourself. My housekeeper helped you shower and put you to bed. I slept in the guest room. His voice softened slightly. I don't take advantage of vulnerable women, Eliza. That's not who I am. Shame washed over me. I'm sorry. I didn't mean... Forget it. He stood abruptly. The left wing of the penthouse is yours. There's a library, a gym, a theater room. The pool on the roof is heated. You'll find everything you need. My quarters are in the right wing. You don't enter without invitation. Am I allowed to leave the penthouse at all? Not yet. In a few days, when I've increased security and the initial danger has passed, perhaps. He straightened his already immaculate suit jacket. You'll have a guard with you at all times. Elena during the day, Marco at night. As if on cue, a woman entered the dining room. She was shorter than me, but moved with the confident grace of someone who knew exactly how much damage she could inflict. Her dark hair was pulled back in a severe ponytail, and though she wore simple black clothing, the bulge of a shoulder holster was visible. Elena will show you around, Dante said. I have meetings. He moved toward the door, then paused. If you need anything at all, tell Elena or Marco. They have direct access to me. And then he was gone, leaving me with yet another stranger in this gilded cage. So, you're my babysitter? I asked Elena, unable to keep the edge from my voice. She raised an eyebrow. I'm a former Special Forces operator with training in 16 different combat styles. I've kept alive diplomats, whistleblowers, and witnesses in active war zones. A small smile. But sure, call me your babysitter if it makes you feel better. I felt properly chastised. Sorry. This is all just... a lot. Her expression softened fractionally. I get it. But trust me, if you're under Dante Russo's protection, you're the safest person in Chicago. She gestured to the clothing rack. Want to get dressed? Then I'll give you the tour. The clothes fit perfectly, which was both impressive and unsettling. I chose the simplest items I could find. Dark jeans and a cream sweater that probably cost more than my monthly rent. Elena waited patiently, then led me through the penthouse. It was even more extensive than I'd imagined, occupying the entire top floor of the building. The library took my breath away. 2 stories of books with a spiral staircase and comfortable reading nooks. The gym was better equipped than any I'd ever seen. The theater room had butter-soft leather recliners and a screen that covered an entire wall. What does he do? I asked as we entered a solarium filled with lush plants. I mean, I know he's involved in things, but does he have legitimate businesses too? Elena gave me an appraising look, as if deciding how much to share. Dante has interests in real estate, hospitality, import, export, technology. His family built half of Chicago's skyline, and the other half was built by his enemies. She shrugged. Chicago has always been divided territory. We ended the tour at a set of double doors. These are Mr. Russo's quarters. As he said, don't enter unless invited. What's in there? A torture chamber? I joked weakly. Elena didn't smile. His office, bedroom, private living area, things that aren't your concern. She checked her watch. It's almost noon. Lunch will be served on the terrace at 1. Until then, you're free to use any of the facilities I showed you. Left alone, I wandered back to the library, drawn to the comfort of books. I selected one at random and settled into a window seat overlooking the city. But the words swam before my eyes. my mind too full of questions. Why had Dante really brought me here? Was I truly in danger, or was this some elaborate game? And why did part of me, a part I refused to acknowledge, feel a thrill at being the focus of such a powerful man's attention? Hours passed. I tried reading, explored the penthouse further, even attempted a workout in the gym to burn off my nervous energy. Elena appeared occasionally, checking on me with quiet efficiency. Lunch came and went. Dante was absent, dealing with business, Elena informed me. By late afternoon, I found myself on the rooftop pool deck, wrapped in a borrowed robe over one of several designer swimsuits that had appeared in my bathroom. The Chicago skyline stretched in every direction, the late autumn sun casting long shadows across the city. Despite the cool air, the pool steamed invitingly, heated to the perfect temperature. I slipped into the water, the warmth enveloping me like a caress. For a moment, I let myself float, eyes closed, pretending this was all a strange dream from which I'd soon awake. "You look peaceful." My eyes snapped open. Dante stood at the pool's edge, his suit exchanged for dark jeans and a simple black shirt that did nothing to diminish his aura of authority. I hadn't heard him approach. A man his size moving with such silence was unnerving. I sank deeper into the water, suddenly conscious of the revealing swimsuit. "Your facilities are very comfortable. I'm glad you approve." He sat on one of the loungers, his eyes never leaving me. "How are you settling in?" The absurdity of the question made me laugh. "Oh, just the typical adjustment period after being kidnapped by a Mafia boss." His jaw tightened. "You're not a prisoner, Eliza. You're a guest under protection. Guests can leave when they want to. You can leave when it's safe." He leaned forward. "Do you think I enjoy this? Disrupting my life? Rearranging my schedule? Turning my home into a fortress? All for a woman I barely know?" The words stung more than they should have. Then why do it? Why not just let me go, hire a bodyguard for a few days and be done with it? Something flickered in his eyes, an emotion I couldn't identify, because the Costellos would find you, and they would hurt you in ways that would haunt your nightmares for the rest of your life, and they would make me watch. He stood abruptly. "Dinner is at 8. Wear something nice." He turned to leave, but I called after him. "Why something nice? Are you expecting company?" He paused, looking back over his shoulder. "Just you and me, Eliza. I thought we should get to know each other since we'll be sharing this space for a while." The intensity of his gaze made my skin flush with heat that had nothing to do with the water temperature. "Is that an order, Mr. Russo?" A small smile played at the corner of his mouth. "Consider it a request, and call me Dante." As he disappeared back inside, I sank beneath the water's surface, letting it muffle the sound of my pounding heart. Dinner, alone with the man who had upended my entire existence in less than 24 hours. What had I done to deserve this? And more troublingly, why was I looking forward to it? The dress Elena laid out for me was midnight blue, simple yet elegant, a sheath of silk that fell just below my knees with a neckline that hinted rather than revealed. It wasn't my usual style, but looking in the mirror, I barely recognized myself. My dark hair, normally pulled back in a practical ponytail, fell in soft waves around my shoulders thanks to the expensive products in the bathroom. The minimal makeup I'd applied enhanced rather than masked my features. For a moment, I allowed myself to imagine this was normal, that I was simply getting ready for a dinner date, not a command performance for the man who had taken over my life. A soft knock at the door broke my reverie. Elena entered, her eyes appraising me with a hint of approval. "You clean up well," she said, the closest thing to a compliment I'd received from her. Thanks to the wardrobe he provided. I couldn't keep the edge from my voice. "Does he do this often? Dress women up like dolls?" Elena's expression hardened slightly. "Mr. Russo doesn't bring women here. Ever. So Marco said, why am I different?" She shrugged. "That's between you and him." She checked her watch. "It's time. I'll escort you." I followed her through the now familiar hallways to a part of the penthouse I hadn't seen on our tour. Double doors opened onto a private dining room, more intimate than the formal one from breakfast. A table for two was set with fine china, crystal, and silver, illuminated by the soft glow of candles. One wall was entirely glass, showcasing the city lights now twinkling in the dusk. Dante stood by the window, a glass of amber liquid in his hand. He turned as we entered, and for a moment, something flashed across his face, something almost like awe. "Thank you, Elena," he said, not taking his eyes off me. "That will be all for tonight." Elena nodded and withdrew, closing the doors behind her. "You look beautiful," Dante said, his voice low. I fought the warmth that spread through me at his words. "The dress helps. It's not the dress." He approached, setting his glass down on the table. Up close, I could smell his cologne, that same intoxicating blend of sandalwood and something darker I'd noticed that morning. "Wine?" I nodded, not trusting my voice. He poured from a decanter, the rich red liquid catching the candlelight. "To new beginnings," he said, raising his glass. I met his toast with reluctance. "Is that what this is? What would you call it? Captivity with good wine?" I took a sip, the complex flavors exploding on my tongue. Despite my situation, I couldn't help a small sound of appreciation. His lips curved slightly. "You like it?" "It's probably worth more than my monthly rent," I admitted. "It's just wine, Eliza, meant to be enjoyed, not venerated." A server I hadn't met before appeared, presenting the first course, something delicate involving scallops. As we ate, Dante asked about my studies, my job, my background. He listened with surprising attentiveness, as if the mundane details of my life actually interested him. "Why community college?" he asked as the main course arrived, perfectly seared duck breast with a reduction that made my taste buds sing. "Your academic record suggests you could have gone anywhere on scholarship." I stiffened. "You investigated me that thoroughly? I told you. I make it my business to know everything about anyone who enters my world." "I didn't exactly enter willingly," I reminded him. His expression darkened momentarily. "Answer the question, please," I sighed, cutting a piece of duck to avoid his gaze. "My mother got sick my senior year. Cancer. I needed to stay close, work to help with medical bills. And your father?" "Left when I was 12. Haven't seen him since." I took another sip of wine, liquid courage. "What about you? I'm guessing you didn't exactly dream of becoming a crime lord as a child." To my surprise, he chuckled. "No. I wanted to be an architect." "Really?" "I was fascinated by buildings, how they could rise from nothing, how they could last centuries." His eyes grew distant. "My father had other plans. You had no choice?" His focus snapped back to me. "We all have choices, Eliza. Some are just harder than others." He refilled my glass. "My father built our family's empire through blood and fear. I've tried to diversify our interests, legitimate businesses, political connections. Still a criminal enterprise at its core. The world isn't black and white, especially in Chicago." His tone was matter-of-fact, unapologetic. "The Russos have controlled this territory for 3 generations. Before us, it was chaos. We bring order. At what cost?" His expression hardened. "Lower than you might think. I don't deal in human trafficking. No drugs in schools. No innocent bystanders." "Except me," I countered. "You stopped being a bystander the moment the Costellos targeted you." His hand covered mine on the table, warm and unexpectedly gentle. "I'm sorry for that." The sincerity in his voice caught me off guard. I pulled my hand away, unsettled by how much I'd wanted to leave it there. "Tell me about the Costellos. Why are they after you?" He considered me for a moment before answering. "Vincent Costello believes I killed his son." "Did you?" "No, Anthony Costello overdosed in one of his own clubs. Vincent couldn't accept that his son was an addict, so he invented a conspiracy." Dante's jaw tightened. "He's been trying to undermine my operations for months, taking out my people, sabotaging shipments. Now, apparently, targeting civilians connected to my associates." "Maya's brother? You said he works for you?" "Carlos Santos runs security at several of my clubs, a loyal employee." His eyes locked with mine. "The Costellos would have used you to send him a message, which would have been a message to me. No one in my organization is safe, not even in their personal lives." The server returned to clear our plates, the interruption giving me a moment to absorb this information. When we were alone again, Dante stood, extending his hand to me. "Come with me." There's something I want to show you. Curiosity overrode caution. I placed my hand in his, allowing him to lead me from the dining room through a part of the penthouse I hadn't seen before. We entered what appeared to be a private study. Walls lined with books, a massive desk of polished wood, leather chairs arranged around a fireplace where flames danced merrily. "This is my sanctuary," he said, releasing my hand. "No one enters without my explicit permission." "Why show me?" He moved to a cabinet, unlocking it with a key from his pocket. "Because I want you to understand." He withdrew a leather-bound portfolio and brought it to where I stood. Inside were drawings, architectural sketches of breathtaking detail and beauty, buildings that soared toward the sky, bridges that arced gracefully across imaginary rivers, homes that seemed to grow from the landscape rather than impose upon it. "You drew these?" I couldn't keep the awe from my voice. He nodded, something almost vulnerable flickering in his eyes. "In another life." They're beautiful." I traced one sketch with my finger, careful not to smudge the lines. "You could have been remarkable." "I am remarkable," he said without arrogance, simply stating fact, just not in the way I once imagined. I looked up at him, truly seeing him for the first time. Not as the Mafia boss who had disrupted my life, but as a man with dreams deferred, with paths not taken. For a moment, the mask slipped, and I glimpsed someone else beneath the controlled exterior. "Why are you showing me this?" I asked softly. He took the portfolio from my hands, returning it to its cabinet. "Because I want you to know that I understand what it means to have your choices taken away." He turned back to me. "I don't enjoy keeping you here against your will, Eliza, but I would enjoy your death even less." Something in his voice, a rawness, an honesty, made my heart race. He moved closer, close enough that I could feel the heat radiating from his body. "There's something about you," he said, his voice dropping to a near whisper. "Something that's been haunting me since I saw you in the club." "What?" The word was barely audible. His hand came up to cup my cheek, thumb brushing across my lower lip. "Innocence, strength, beauty without artifice." His eyes darkened. "Do you know how rare that is in my world?" I should have pulled away, should have reminded him that I was here under duress, that whatever attraction flickered between us was tainted by the circumstances. Instead, I leaned into his touch, my body betraying my mind's objections. "Dante," I breathed, not sure if I was asking him to stop or to continue. The decision was made for us when a sharp knock sounded at the door. Dante stepped back, his expression closing like a shutter. "Enter," he called, his voice perfectly controlled once more. Marco appeared, his face grim. "Sir, there's a situation that requires your immediate attention." Dante's posture changed instantly, tension radiating from every line of his body. "What happened?" "The Costellos. They hit the warehouse on Fulton." A muscle ticked in Dante's jaw. "Casualties?" "2 of our men, critically injured. The shipment is gone." "Get the car ready. Call Adriana and tell her to meet us there." Dante turned to me, his eyes now cold and distant. "I have to go. Elena will escort you back to your quarters." As if summoned, Elena appeared at the door behind Marco. Dante moved to leave, then paused, returning to where I stood frozen. "Lock your door tonight," he said quietly. "Don't open it for anyone but me or Elena." "Is it that serious?" I whispered. His expression was grim. "Vincent Costello has escalated this beyond what I anticipated. Until I understand his endgame, I need to know you're safe." He hesitated, then pressed a swift, hard kiss to my forehead. "Stay safe, little bird." The tenderness of the gesture, the unexpected nickname, left me speechless as he strode from the room, Marco at his heels. Elena waited by the door, her face expressionless. "Come," she said. "I'll take you to your room." I followed in a daze, my mind whirling with conflicting emotions. Fear at the obvious danger, confusion at Dante's momentary vulnerability, and something else, something I was afraid to name. Back in my suite, Elena checked every room, every closet, even under the bed. She drew the curtains closed and handed me a small device. "Panic button," she explained. "Press it if anything happens, anything at all." What could happen? I asked, unable to keep the tremor from my voice. Her expression softened slightly. Probably nothing, but Mr. Russo doesn't take chances, especially with… She stopped abruptly. With what? She shook her head. Get some rest. I'll be right outside your door all night. After she left, I changed out of the beautiful dress, hanging it carefully in the closet. In silk pajamas that felt like water against my skin, I sat on the edge of the massive bed, staring at the panic button in my hand. 24 hours ago, I had been celebrating my birthday, blissfully unaware of Dante Russo's existence. Now I was in his home, under his protection, and despite every rational thought screaming against it, I couldn't stop thinking about how his hand had felt against my cheek, how his eyes had darkened when he looked at me. A message alert from the tablet on the nightstand startled me. I picked it up to find a text from a number simply labeled D. Sleep well. We'll talk in the morning. You're safe. 3 simple sentences that shouldn't have comforted me but somehow did. I typed back before I could think better of it. Be careful. The response came instantly. Always am, little bird. Always am. I set the tablet aside and crawled beneath the luxurious sheets. Outside my locked door, Elena stood guard. Beyond the penthouse walls, Dante Russo was dealing with the enemies who had inadvertently entangled me in their war, and here I lay, in the eye of a storm I never saw coming, wondering how my life had changed so completely in the span of a day. Tomorrow, I told myself. Tomorrow I would find a way out of this. Tomorrow I would stop this dangerous attraction to a man who lived by his own rules. But as sleep claimed me, it was Dante's face I saw. His touch I remembered. His voice whispering, "Little bird," that followed me into dreams. I woke to the sound of raised voices. Male, angry, somewhere down the hall. Blinking sleep from my eyes, I checked the time on the tablet, 6:38 a.m. Gray morning light filtered through a gap in the curtains, casting the unfamiliar room in shadow. The voices grew louder. I slipped from bed, pulling on the silk robe that matched my pajamas, and moved cautiously to the door. With my ear pressed against it, I could just make out the words. Completely unacceptable. That was Dante, his normally controlled voice tight with fury. We had no warning. An unfamiliar male voice. That's your job, Nico. To anticipate. To have contingencies. They had inside information. Someone talked. A crash, like something being thrown. Find out who. Today. And the girl? She's still a liability. She's not your concern. Dante's voice dropped dangerously. Focus on finding our leak. And Nico? If anything happens to her while I'm gone, don't bother reporting back to me. You won't live long enough. Footsteps approached my door. I scrambled back, nearly tripping over myself in my haste to return to bed. I had just pulled the covers up when a soft knock sounded. Eliza, it's Elena. May I come in? I took a steadying breath. Yes. She entered, looking surprisingly fresh, considering she'd presumably been on guard all night. Good morning. Mr. Russo asked me to inform you he's been called away on urgent business. He'll return this evening. I sat up, drawing the robe tighter around myself. The warehouse situation, something flickered in her eyes, surprise, perhaps, that I knew about it. Yes. He asked me to apologize for the abrupt departure and to assure you that the penthouse remains completely secure. I nodded, unsure how to respond. Part of me was relieved at Dante's absence. It would give me space to think, to plan. Another part, one I didn't want to acknowledge, was disappointed. Breakfast is ready whenever you are, Elena continued. After Mr. Russo suggested you might enjoy shopping to supplement your wardrobe. Online, of course. Of course. I couldn't keep the bitterness from my voice. God forbid I actually leave this gilded cage. Elena's expression remained neutral. It's for your safety, Eliza. The threat is very real. So I keep being told. I pushed back the covers and stood. I'll be out for breakfast in 20 minutes. After she left, I showered and dressed in another outfit from the collection provided. Black leggings, and an oversized cashmere sweater that felt like being wrapped in a cloud. The mirror reflected someone who looked like me but wasn't quite. Better rested, better dressed, hair shining from expensive products. Breakfast was a solitary affair in the smaller dining room. As I picked at fresh fruit and pastries, I found my thoughts returning to Dante, to our dinner, to the moment in his study before we were interrupted, to the surprising vulnerability he'd shown me with his architectural drawings. "Elena," I said as she refilled my coffee, "how long have you worked for Dante?" 5 years? And in that time, has he ever brought anyone here? A girlfriend? A date? She hesitated, then set the coffee pot down. Mr. Russo doesn't date in the conventional sense. His position makes normal relationships complicated. But there have been women. There have been arrangements, mutually beneficial companionship. Her expression softened slightly, but no, he's never brought anyone to the penthouse. This is his sanctuary. Until me. Until you. She studied me with newfound interest. He's different with you. More careful. More present. I wasn't sure how to respond to that. I need air. Is the rooftop accessible? She nodded. I'll accompany you. The rooftop garden was even more beautiful in daylight. Lush greenery and planters, comfortable seating areas, the pool sparkling in the morning sun. The autumn air was crisp, but not unpleasantly cold. I leaned against the railing, gazing out at the city that seemed both so close and so impossibly far away. Do you ever wonder about the choices that brought you here? I asked Elena, who stood a respectful distance away. Working for someone like him? She joined me at the railing. Before Dante, I was private security for a Saudi prince. Before that, special forces. I've seen the worst people can do to each other. She looked at me directly. Dante Russo is not the monster you think he is. I don't think he's a monster, I said quietly. That's what scares me. She nodded as if I'd confirmed something. Be careful with him, Eliza. He may seem invulnerable, but he's not. Why are you telling me this? Because I've never seen him look at anyone the way he looks at you. She straightened. And because whatever's happening between you two, it's changing him. Whether that's good or bad remains to be seen. The day passed slowly. I spent hours in the library losing myself in books. Elena brought lunch, a simple but exquisite salad with grilled chicken. I browsed online stores on the tablet, selecting a few practical items despite being told money was no object. I swam laps in the pool until my muscles ached pleasantly. All the while, my mind worked on the problem of my situation. Could I trust Dante's assessment of the danger? Was I truly a target? Or was this elaborate setup something else entirely? And why did the thought of leaving fill me with such conflicting emotions? By evening, a strange restlessness had settled over me. I paced my suite, checked my phone. Still no service, though Elena assured me it was for security reasons, and changed outfits twice, settling finally on a simple black dress that felt appropriate for dinner, whether Dante returned or not. At 8, Elena escorted me to the dining room, where a single place was set. Mr. Russo called. He's been delayed but hopes to return by 10. He asked that you not wait for him to eat. Disappointment washed over me, followed immediately by annoyance at myself for feeling it. Fine. Dinner was exquisite but tasted like ash. I picked at it listlessly, my appetite gone. Afterward, Elena suggested a movie in the theater room, but I declined, retreating instead to the library. There, curled in a window seat with a book I couldn't focus on, I watched the city lights shimmer below. Quite a view, isn't it? I startled, the book tumbling from my hands. Dante stood in the doorway, his tall frame silhouetted against the hallway light. He looked exhausted, a day's worth of stubble darkening his jaw. His suit was immaculate as always, but there was tension in his shoulders, a tightness around his eyes. You're back, I said unnecessarily, rising from my seat. He entered the library, closing the door behind him. I told you I would be. Elena said you were delayed. It was a complicated day. He moved to a cabinet in the corner, pulling out a decanter and 2 glasses. Drink? I nodded, watching as he poured amber liquid into both glasses, handing one to me. Our fingers brushed in the exchange, sending an involuntary shiver up my arm. To surviving another day, he said, raising his glass. I met his toast. That bad? He took a long swallow before answering. The Costellos are making their move. 3 of my businesses hit in 24 hours. They're testing my defenses, looking for weaknesses. And did they find any? His eyes met mine over the rim of his glass. 1. The intensity of his gaze made my heart race. Me? They know I have you here. They know I'm protective of you. I set my glass down with shaking hands. How? How could they possibly know that? Because I have a traitor in my organization. His voice was flat, emotionless. Someone close enough to know about you, to see how I've reacted to your presence here. And how have you reacted? I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. He moved closer, close enough that I could smell the familiar sandalwood cologne mingled with something new. Smoke, perhaps, or gunpowder. Not as I should have. What does that mean? His hand came up to cup my cheek, thumb brushing across my cheekbone. It means I should have kept my distance. Should have assigned you security and put you in a safe house across town. Should have treated you like any other innocent bystander caught in the crossfire. My breath caught in my throat. Why didn't you? Because from the moment I saw you in that club, something in me recognized something in you. His voice dropped lower, intimate. Something I didn't even know I was looking for until I found it. I should have stepped away. Should have reminded him, and myself, that I was here against my will, that whatever attraction sparked between us was built on a foundation of coercion and fear. Instead, I leaned into his touch. Dante. I whispered, his name a question and an answer all at once. He closed the distance between us, his lips finding mine in a kiss that started gentle but quickly blazed into something more urgent, more demanding. His hand slid down to my waist, drawing me against him as mine found their way to his shoulders, feeling the solid strength beneath expensive fabric. For a moment, the world narrowed to just this, his mouth on mine, the heat building between us, the strange sense of rightness despite everything wrong about the situation. Then reality crashed back. I pulled away, breathing hard. This is insane. You're keeping me prisoner, and I'm kissing you like what? He challenged, his eyes dark with desire. Like Stockholm Syndrome is setting in, I said bitterly, putting distance between us. This isn't real, Dante. It can't be. Not when I'm here against my will. He ran a hand through his hair, frustration evident in every line of his body. What if you weren't? What? What if you could leave? Right now? Walk out the door. Go back to your apartment, your job. Would you? Your life. The question caught me off guard. Would I? After the danger he'd described, after the connection we'd formed, after experiencing even a taste of his world, could I simply return to my ordinary existence? I don't know, I admitted finally. He nodded as if my answer confirmed something. The Costellos made another move today. They took Maya. The blood drained from my face. What? No, is she? She's alive, he assured me quickly. They sent proof of life, along with a message. His jaw tightened. They want to trade Maya for you. The room seemed to tilt beneath my feet. I gripped the back of a chair for support. So that's why you're asking if I'd leave. You're considering it. No, the word was sharp, definitive. I will never hand you over to them. Never. But Maya will be rescued. Tonight, I have a team in place. He moved toward me again, taking my hands in his. But I need you to understand the severity of the situation now. This isn't just about a message anymore. They specifically want you. Why? I'm nobody because they've realized what I've been trying to deny. His grip tightened on my hands. That I care about what happens to you, more than I should. The admission hung in the air between us, weighted with implications neither of us seemed ready to fully acknowledge. If anything happens to Maya because of me, it won't. His voice was ironclad with certainty. But I need you to promise me something, Eliza. Promise you won't do anything reckless. Don't try to offer yourself in exchange. Don't try to contact the Costellos. Trust me to handle this. I searched his face, looking for deception, for manipulation, for anything that would justify the distrust that logic told me I should feel. Instead, I found only fierce determination and something else. Something that looked dangerously like tenderness. I promise, I whispered. Relief washed over his features. He raised my hands to his lips, pressing a kiss to my knuckles. Thank you. He released me, stepping back. You should get some rest. Marco will be outside your door tonight. I have to go oversee the rescue operation. Will you tell me when Maya's safe? He nodded. No matter the hour. As he turned to leave, I called after him. Dante, be careful. He looked back, a small smile softening his features. For you, little bird, I will be. After he left, I paced my suite, too agitated to sleep. Maya kidnapped because of me, because the Costellos had somehow recognized that I meant something to Dante, and that he meant something to me. The realization was both terrifying and exhilarating. Hours passed. I tried reading, tried watching television, even tried a hot bath, but nothing could calm my racing thoughts. Finally, exhausted, I curled up on the bed, still fully dressed, clutching the tablet that was my only link to Dante. I must have dozed off, because the soft chime of a message jolted me awake. The tablet screen glowed in the darkness. She's safe. Minor injuries, but nothing serious. Operation successful. Home soon. Relief flooded through me. I typed back, "Thank you." 3 dots appeared as he typed a response. "Sleep now, little bird. Tomorrow we talk about what happens next." What happens next? The words echoed in my mind as I changed into pajamas and slipped beneath the covers. What could happen next in this strange, dangerous world I'd stumbled into? And more troublingly, why was I no longer certain I wanted to leave it? As sleep claimed me once more, I wondered if 25 would prove to be the year everything changed, the year I stopped being invisible Eliza Parker and became something. Someone else entirely. Someone worthy of a man like Dante Russo's attention. Someone brave enough to face the dangers that came with it. And whether that transformation would be my salvation or my destruction remained to be seen. Morning arrived with a gentle knock at my door. I opened my eyes, disoriented for a moment before remembering where I was and everything that had happened. The events of the previous night came rushing back. Dante's kiss, the news about Maya, the late-night message confirming her rescue. "Eliza? It's Elena. May I come in?" I sat up, pushing tangled hair from my face. "Yes, come in." Elena entered, carrying a tray. "Mr. Russo thought you might prefer breakfast in your room this morning." She set the tray on the bedside table. Fresh coffee, pastries, fruit, and a single red rose in a slim crystal vase. "He asked me to tell you he'll be in his study when you're ready to talk." My heart skipped. "Is Maya really okay?" Elena's expression softened. "Yes. She's being kept at a secure location for her protection, but her injuries were superficial, mostly designed to scare rather than harm." Relief washed over me. "Thank you." After Elena left, I ate sparingly, too nervous about the upcoming conversation with Dante to have much appetite. What did he mean by, "what happens next"? Was he finally going to let me go now that the immediate danger had been neutralized? And why did that prospect fill me with such conflicting emotions? I showered and dressed with care, selecting a simple blue dress from the wardrobe. As I made my way to Dante's study, the penthouse seemed unusually quiet. No Marco in the hallway, no staff preparing lunch or tidying rooms. I knocked softly on the study door. "Enter," came Dante's voice from within. He sat behind his desk, papers spread before him, looking as if he hadn't slept at all. When he saw me, he rose, coming around to lean against the front of the desk. "How are you feeling?" he asked. Relieved about Maya, confused about everything else. I remained by the door, suddenly hesitant to move closer. "You wanted to talk about what happens next?" He nodded, gesturing to one of the leather chairs. "Please, sit." I perched on the edge of the chair while he returned to his position against the desk, arms folded across his chest. For a moment, he simply looked at me, his expression unreadable. "The situation has changed," he finally said. "Vincent Costello reached out this morning. He wants to meet." "With you?" "With both of us." My blood ran cold. That's insane. After what they did to Maya, he claims that was a rogue action by his lieutenant, not sanctioned by him. Dante's jaw tightened. I don't believe him, but the invitation presents an opportunity. What kind of opportunity? To end this. To negotiate a truce. He moved to sit in the chair beside me, leaning forward, elbows on his knees. "Eliza, I can't keep you locked away here forever, and I can't guarantee your safety if you return to your normal life while this conflict continues. So you want me to meet with the man who kidnapped my friend and wanted to trade her for me?" I couldn't keep the disbelief from my voice. "I want this war to end before more innocent people get hurt." His eyes locked with mine. "And I want you to be safe." Something in his voice made my heart race. "Why do you care so much? You barely know me." He reached out, taking my hand in his. "That's not true anymore, is it? These past days, I've come to know you better than I know most people I've spent years with." I couldn't argue with that. Despite the circumstances, there had been an intensity to our interactions, a depth of connection that normally took months to develop. "When is this meeting?" I asked. "Tonight. Neutral territory. A restaurant owned by the Petrov family. They'll ensure everyone's safety." His thumb traced circles on my palm. "You don't have to do this. I can find another way." "What exactly would happen at this meeting?" "Vincent wants to see you, to confirm you're unharmed and here of your own free will." I raised an eyebrow. "Am I here of my own free will?" His expression grew serious. "As of this moment, you're free to leave. I've arranged for an apartment across town with security. Or you can return to your own place, also with security. Or..." He hesitated. "You can stay here." The choice I'd been waiting for since waking up in his bed 3 days ago was finally before me, and yet I found myself unable to answer immediately. "Why would Vincent Costello care about my welfare?" I asked instead. Dante sighed, releasing my hand and standing. He moved to the window, looking out over the city. "Because his son, Anthony, the one who overdosed, he was in love with a woman who looks remarkably like you. She disappeared the night he died. The revelation hit me like a physical blow. So when he saw me at the club, he thought you were her at first. Then he realized you couldn't be. You're younger, your mannerisms different." Dante turned back to face me. "But the resemblance is striking enough that seeing you with me, it stirred up old suspicions." "He thinks you killed his son because of this woman?" "He thinks I killed them both." Dante's expression was grim. "I didn't. Anthony overdosed after discovering his girlfriend had stolen nearly $1 million from the Costello accounts and fled. The timing of her disappearance and his death was coincidental, but Vincent doesn't believe that. No. And seeing you with me, seeing how I've protected you," he ran a hand through his hair, a rare gesture of agitation. "It's reignited his vendetta." I stood, moving to stand before him. "If I meet with him, look him in the eye, convince him I'm not this woman, it might be enough to make him question his theory. Combined with the evidence I've gathered about Anthony's actual cause of death, it could end this war." His hands came to rest on my shoulders. "But I won't risk you if you're not completely willing." I searched his face, looking for manipulation, for pressure. Instead, I found only concern and something deeper, something that made my heart flutter. "I'll do it," I said. "For Maya. For the other innocent people caught in this crossfire." I took a deep breath. "And for you." Relief washed over his features. He pulled me into an embrace, his arms strong around me, his heart beating steadily against my ear. "Thank you," he murmured into my hair. "I promise, after tonight, you'll be free to choose whatever life you want." Whatever life I wanted. The words echoed in my mind as he held me. 3 days ago, I had known exactly what that was, finishing my degree, building a career, maybe traveling someday when I had saved enough. Now, standing in the arms of a man who lived in a world I barely understood, I wasn't so sure. The rest of the day passed in a blur of preparation. Elena helped me select an outfit appropriate for the meeting, an elegant black dress, conservative yet flattering. Dante briefed me on what to expect, on Vincent Costello's likely questions, on how to comport myself. "Just be yourself," he said as we sat in the living room, going over details one final time. "Vincent needs to see that you're not Sophia. That's who Anthony's girlfriend was. What if he doesn't believe me? He will." Dante's confidence was unwavering. "And I'll be right beside you the entire time." As evening approached, nervous energy thrummed through me. I stood in my bathroom, applying the finishing touches to my makeup, when a soft knock sounded at my bedroom door. "Come in," I called, expecting Elena. Instead, Dante entered, already dressed in an impeccable black suit. He stopped in the doorway to the bathroom, his eyes taking me in from head to toe. "You look beautiful," he said softly. I turned to face him fully. "Will I pass inspection?" Vincent Costello's opinion is irrelevant. He moved closer, reaching out to tuck a strand of hair behind my ear. "But yes, you'll make quite the impression." "Dante?" I hesitated, unsure how to articulate the swirl of emotions inside me. "After tonight, when this is over." He placed a finger against my lips, silencing me. "One step at a time, little bird. Let's get through tonight first." The restaurant was as elegant as I had expected. Old-world luxury with heavy draperies, crystal chandeliers, and staff who moved like ghosts between tables. We were escorted to a private dining room where two men already waited. One, clearly Vincent Costello, was in his 60s, silver-haired and distinguished in a way that belied his criminal enterprises. The other was younger, likely in his 30s, with a hard face and watchful eyes. A bodyguard, undoubtedly. "Dante," Vincent said, rising as we entered. His eyes immediately fixed on me, widening slightly before his expression settled into careful neutrality. "And this must be the young lady I've heard so much about. Eliza Parker," Dante said, his hand at the small of my back both protective and steadying. "Eliza, this is Vincent Costello." Vincent extended his hand to me. After a momentary hesitation, I took it. His grip was firm but not threatening. "A pleasure to meet you, Mr. Costello," I said, my voice steadier than I felt. "Please sit." He gestured to the table set for 4. "We have much to discuss." The next 2 hours were the most surreal of my life. We dined on exquisite food, drank fine wine, and discussed my life history as if it were the most fascinating topic in the world. Vincent asked about my childhood, my education, my parents, my friends. Each question clearly designed to confirm I wasn't Sophia, whoever she had been. Halfway through the meal, I could see the certainty growing in his eyes. I truly wasn't the woman he had suspected. "And how did you come to be in Dante's care?" he asked finally, swirling the wine in his glass. I glanced at Dante, who nodded slightly, encouraging me to speak freely. "I was celebrating my birthday at his club. Your men drugged my drink, Mr. Costello." I met his gaze directly. Dante intervened. "He saved me." Vincent's eyes narrowed, turning to the younger man beside him. "Is this true, Carlo?" The man shifted uncomfortably. "I received information that she was connected to the Santos family, that taking her would send a message." "Information from whom?" Vincent's voice was dangerously quiet. "Alfonso, sir. He said it came from our source inside Russo's organization." A heavy silence fell over the table. Vincent set down his glass with deliberate care. "I see." He turned back to Dante. "It seems we have both been manipulated, old friend." "So it would appear," Dante agreed, his posture relaxing slightly for the first time all evening. "The question is, by whom?" "Indeed." Vincent's gaze returned to me. "Ms. Parker, I owe you an apology. It seems you were drawn into this conflict through no fault of your own. And my friend Maya, the one your men kidnapped?" A flash of genuine regret crossed his face. "Another unfortunate error in judgment. I assure you, those responsible will answer for it." The conversation turned then to business matters. Territories, shipments, profit-sharing agreements. I sat quietly, Dante's hand occasionally squeezing mine under the table in reassurance. Finally, as dessert was served, Vincent raised his glass. "To peace between our families, and to putting this unfortunate misunderstanding behind us." Dante raised his glass as well. "To peace." As we prepared to leave, Vincent pulled me aside for a moment, his voice low. "You must forgive an old man's suspicions, Ms. Parker. My son's death, it leaves a hole that time does not fill." "I understand," I said, though I couldn't imagine the grief of losing a child. "He cares for you," Vincent continued, nodding toward Dante, who was speaking with the restaurant manager near the door. "I haven't seen him look at anyone that way since, well, in a very long time." Before I could respond, Dante returned to my side, his hand possessively at my waist. "Ready to go?" The ride back to the penthouse was quiet, both of us processing the events of the evening. When we arrived, Dante dismissed the security team for the night, a sign of his confidence that the threat had truly passed. In the elevator, he finally broke the silence. "You were magnificent tonight." I just told the truth. Sometimes that's the hardest thing to do. His eyes met mine. "You have a choice to make now, Eliza. What happens next is entirely up to you." The elevator doors opened directly into the penthouse foyer. I stepped out, moving to the windows that showcased the glittering city below. My city. The one I'd grown up in but never really seen from this vantage point. This world of power and danger and luxury. If I wanted to leave tomorrow, to go back to my apartment, my job, my classes, you'd let me? Yes. He came to stand beside me, not touching me, giving me space. I'd arrange security, of course, at least until we're certain the truce holds. But yes, you could return to your life. And if I didn't want to, I turned to face him. If I wanted something else. His eyes darkened. "What do you want, Eliza?" It was the question I'd been asking myself all day. What did I want? The safe, predictable life I'd had before? Or something new? Something that scared and thrilled me in equal measure? "I want to stay," I said softly. Not as a prisoner, not as someone under protection, but as someone making a choice. He moved closer, his hand coming up to cut my cheek. "And what choice are you making, little bird?" "I'm choosing you." The words felt right as they left my lips, as if I'd been waiting to say them since the moment I first saw him. "I know it's fast. I know it's complicated. I know your world is dangerous. But these past days, I've felt more alive, more seen, than I have in my entire life." Joy bloomed in his eyes, transforming his face. "Are you sure? Once you step into my world fully, it's not easy to step back out." "I'm sure." I leaned into his touch. "I want to see where this leads. I want to know you, all of you, not just the Mafia boss, but the man who wanted to be an architect. The man who calls me Little Bird, the man who risked everything to protect a stranger." His other arm circled my waist, drawing me against him. "You were never just a stranger, Eliza. From the moment I saw you in that club, something in me recognized something in you. Like finding a piece of myself I didn't know was missing." His lips found mine, the kiss deeper, more passionate than our first. I wound my arms around his neck, surrendering to the heat building between us. When we finally broke apart, both breathing hard, his forehead rested against mine. "Stay with me tonight," he whispered. "Not because you're in danger, not because you have nowhere else to go, but because you want to." "Yes," I breathed, the single word a promise and a beginning. He lifted me into his arms as if I weighed nothing, carrying me through the penthouse to his quarters, the wing that had been off limits until now. His bedroom was simpler than I'd expected, masculine but not austere, with the same spectacular view of the city. He set me down gently beside the bed, his eyes never leaving mine as he brushed a strand of hair from my face. "We can go as slow as you want, little bird. We have all the time in the world now." "I don't want to wait anymore," I said, finding courage in the desire I saw reflected in his gaze. "I've been waiting my whole life without even knowing it. Waiting to be seen, to be wanted, to be chosen." "I see you, Eliza," he murmured, his hands framing my face. "I want you. I choose you." The rest of the night was a revelation, his hands and mouth mapping my body with the same careful attention he gave to everything important in his life. In his arms, I discovered parts of myself I never knew existed. Passion, hunger, a reckless abandonment that would have shocked the practical barista I'd been just days ago. Afterward, lying in the tangle of his sheets, my head on his chest, I listened to the steady beat of his heart. "What are you thinking?" he asked, his fingers tracing idle patterns on my bare shoulder. That life can change so completely, so quickly. I propped myself up on one elbow to look at him. "A week ago, I didn't even know you existed. Now I can't imagine my life without you in it." He smiled, tucking my hair behind my ear. "On your 25th birthday, you woke up in the Mafia boss's bed." And he said, "From now on, you stay." I finished, smiling back at him. Was it really so terrible, being kept here? I pretended to consider. The food was good. The clothes were nice. The company, I trailed a finger down his chest. Well, the jury's still out on that. He growled playfully, rolling me beneath him. Is that so? I laughed, wrapping my arms around his neck. I suppose I could be persuaded to give a favorable verdict. His expression grew serious. I want you to know what you're choosing, Eliza. My world isn't always like this. Luxury and fine dining and peaceful resolutions. There will be danger. There will be difficult decisions. There will be aspects of my business that might shock you. I know. I touched his face, feeling the stubble rough against my palm. I'm not naive. I understand that loving you comes with complications. Loving me? He repeated, his eyes searching mine. Yes. I didn't try to take it back or qualify it. I love you, Dante Russo. God help me, but I do. The smile that spread across his face was like the sun breaking through clouds. And I love you, Eliza Parker. I think I have since that first night, when you looked at me across that crowded club, not knowing who or what I was, just seeing me. He kissed me again, tender now, rather than passionate. When he pulled back, there was a new lightness to him, as if some burden had been lifted. So what happens tomorrow? I asked. Do I move in permanently? Do I finish school? Do I keep working at the coffee shop? He chuckled, rolling to his side and pulling me against him. Whatever you want, little bird. Finish your degree. I'll make sure your schedule accommodates classes. Work if you want to, or don't. The penthouse is yours as much as mine now. I think I want to finish school, I said after a moment, but maybe switch to architecture. His eyebrows rose in surprise. Architecture. I nodded. Someone showed me some beautiful drawings recently. Made me realize there's something special about creating spaces for people to live in, to experience. His arms tightened around me. I could teach you. Not just the technical aspects, but the philosophy behind it. The way a building can tell a story, can evoke emotion. I'd like that. I nestled closer, feeling the rightness of being in his arms, in his bed, in his life. Just promise me one thing. Anything. No more kidnapping women on their birthdays. It's not a sustainable relationship strategy. His laughter rumbled through his chest beneath my ear. I promise. You're the first and the last. As sleep began to claim me, safe in the embrace of a man who had turned my world upside down in the span of a few days, I couldn't help but reflect on the strange twist of fate that had brought me here. One night, one club, one chance meeting, and everything had changed. My 25th year had begun in the Mafia boss's bed, and if the way Dante held me now, as if I were the most precious thing he'd ever found, was any indication, many more years in that same bed would follow. I wouldn't have it any other way.